What's up, people? In this video, we're going to do another one by Aboud, or Aboud. I want to say Aboud. The truth about how prisoners can get so jacked, finally. Pretty sure he's going to talk about steroids, right? Like, I don't know. He seems like a straight shooter. I did another video on this guy. I like these ex-con YouTubers in general, and I like him as well. He's like more like mafia YouTuber, I guess, like mafia slash ex-con, less of like a gangbanger type of thing. Anyway, whatever. Should be an interesting video to watch. If you guys have any suggestions for other videos that you want me to take a look at, let me know in a comment.
And how prisoners are able to get fucking huge and jacked during their time away, much more so than people in the free world. So this is something that's been discussed many times from many people. I've heard so much different, thoughts and theory on it, and I'm telling you guys firsthand experience the reasons why. So there are a couple different reasons. The first and most important reason is that there are no females. So removing females from the equation alone, the equation of one's existence and reality, changes things. Okay? There are no women. That in itself is a gigantic distraction, complete distraction in one's life in the free world. Men are always thinking about women in some way or capacity, whereas when you're there, you may still think about them, but they don't exist. So that's a huge part of it. As a side note to that, the fact that you're in an all-male, very aggressive environment, in my opinion, actually allows people to produce more testosterone than they would in a regular circumstance. And I know that may sound crazy to believe, but I'm telling you guys, when you're in that fucking environment and it's like a war, and you literally are fighting and training to survive. You're not working out and doing push-ups so you can look good in your fucking Instagram picture. You know what I'm saying? This is crazy shit. Every time that fucking cell door opens, you're walking out into a world of shit, a world of unknown violence, horrors. You never know when the fuck somebody else is going to decide to victimize you. And so, again, the distraction aspect and the fact that they're all men and it's a very violent and dangerous environment.
Okay, so I guess he didn't, if I'm making a video about this, like, you're not going to, like, he'll probably get to the steroids last, I'm sure. Like, what did he say most importantly? I don't know. Is this the most important, part of why prisoners get so jacked? Because there's no women around, and it's like there's some like little Vietnamese kid here like watching me. Anyway, yeah, is that really the main reason? Because there's no women and there's no distractions? I don't know. Maybe. Regarding what he said about producing more testosterone as a result of there not being women, I don't think it's just that there are no women, so your body will produce more testosterone. I think it's more closely tied to what he said after that, which is that it's violent and unpredictable, and your body will produce more testosterone as a result of the fight or flight response, which I don't know if this is also bro science here, but maybe in your mind that flight is not possible. You can't really run away. Where are you going to run in prison? You're going to go run, hide behind some other guys. They'll probably just beat the shit out of you also. So you know that you have to fight, I guess. It's not so much fight or flight, it's just more limited to fight because flight is gone completely. Yeah, training to survive, that makes sense. I can see that being the case. And training to survive is much more motivating, much stronger leverage than having the most six-pack-liest of six-packs, for your Instagram pic. Who really cares? Not who really cares, but you're not going to die if you don't post that pic today. You can post it tomorrow or just not post it at all.
Are huge. Another point that I think is of huge importance is consistency. Not only consistency with training, but consistency with meal frequency, the times of the day that you have the meals, and most important, consistency with sleep. Sleep is a huge part of developing and building muscle. Huge. Probably one of the more important parts that's often overlooked. When you're out in the free world, realistically, we're not going to bed at the same time. We're not getting as much sleep as we could or should be. Again, it goes back to distractions. There's so much shit happening and you're just living your life. Whereas when you're confined, your schedule is so regimented by someone else, by the institution, that you really don't have a choice. I like to spend a lot of time reading, so I would read a lot in the night. But regardless, you have your schedule and you're going to go to sleep. You're going to sleep much, much more than you would in the free world. A lot of guys somehow were able to take naps and sleep during the day. I know guys that slept most of their fucking day. I don't know how. But I was never able to. I was never ever in my life able to take a nap in the daytime and catch some more sleep. So that didn't work for me, but that's a factor for other people also. They sleep a lot. Another point.
Okay, so regarding sleep being important to gains, that's not untrue. That is true. I think the amount of sleep that you get, I think there's, this is bro science, but I think there's something in our bodies as human beings that will scale up or down the effectiveness or efficiency of your sleep based on how much time you can actually spend sleeping, right? So this doesn't happen on day one. So it's not like, okay, let's say you you do something and you have some strenuous activity, you go work out, and then you sleep less that night. Your body didn't have advanced knowledge that you were going to sleep less that night if you normally get a lot of sleep, right? So there's no way for that efficiency mechanism to kick in. However, if, let's say, you go several nights getting a small amount of sleep and also exercising heavily, right, to build muscle, let's say, I think over a few days, your body will eventually understand that, like, okay, we're not getting as much sleep here. We're still, creating this change, like putting these new demands in our body. We have to respond somehow. So let's do this, this, and this to make the sleep more efficient in and of itself, right? So like, there's also this like little tiny Vietnamese kid standing right next to me, like trying hard to concentrate. Yeah. So anyway, I think that's the thing. I noticed this in the Army, where we would work out, we wouldn't get monstrous bodybuilder level. And to be fair, okay, fine. If you have as much time to sleep as you want, probably going to do better overall than somebody that does not have any sleep. Is it a major factor in why prisoners can get so jacked, as opposed to the elephant in the room, which he has not mentioned? Like, you're going to mention that, like, when are you going to mention the steroids, dog? Like, when are we going to talk about that?
Point that is very important, again, touching back on the consistency part, is the workout frequency. So we used to work out all the time, every day, without regard for overtraining, without regard for how many times we've hit the muscle in this week already, how many reps we've done, how much rest our body may need as a result. We didn't even think in those terms. We just fucking trained. We were like preparing for war. That's how I looked at it. I fucking trained with rage because I understood what was on the line. I let all that fucking anger that was in me, all that hurt and pain, turn into the fuel for my workouts. So again, we worked out very often, every day for the most part. Sometimes we take a day off here and there. Most of us who were really into that, we worked out twice a day. Twice a day. So that was the regular. So the guys out here saying, they work out a lot, they do one body part, two body parts per week. Come on, man. That's fucking bullshit. We worked out all day, whether it was with weights, whether it was calisthenics, whether it was push-ups, pull-ups, dips, with bases for everything. Squats, body weight or somebody on your shoulder, whatever it was. We always trained. That's very important.
So there's a book, I forget what it's called. It's like Prisoner Fitness or something like that, and it's written by an ex-con who I think he did 10 years in prison. Did like some like serious prison term, right? And he developed this workout and workout progression that's entirely calisthenics that, I forget what it's called. It's like Prisoner Fitness or prison body, something like that. I don't know what it is. It's an old book, like 2003 or something. Anyway, he says that they would work out all day, like actually all day, right? And the way that he scales his workout is that he would have you start from very easy movements, but have you do them 10 times a day, like 10 sets of 5 throughout the day. And if you know anything about, it's a concept called greasing the groove by Pavel Tsatsouline. It's like, this comes from Russia, I think, where they say like train your neurology, right? So like, for example, if you do 5 push-ups every hour all day, let's say 12 hours, that's only 60 push-ups, right? But as a result of you constantly doing those 5 push-ups, your body will understand that push-ups are important, and it will make you much stronger through that movement, as opposed to if you just did 1 or 2 sets of, as opposed to doing like, let's say 3 sets of 20 push-ups during your workout, right? The frequency with which you train is much more is much more important than the volume of training in a short period of time, if that makes sense. So like, he doesn't say that, but I think it's implied that if you're in prison, you have nothing to do. Like, what are you you're not going to read? Like, read, sleep, and work out in your cell by yourself. That's actually what you're going to do.
All right. Another point, guys, is the food that we ate. All right, was pretty much garbage from the state, but it was full of carbs. It was full of carbohydrates. Those carbs, even though the food was minimal, wasn't that much. Because we supplemented the food that the jail would give with other food from canteen or from the ODR, the dining room, whatever we can get, we would add more food than what they gave us. But again, it was all carbs. It was basically every meal that we had, we called a hookup. Every hookup was formed around either rice or, ramen noodles. So the noodles were the basis for it, even sometimes both together. So we ate that every day. And, we used to make sandwiches sometimes. Whatever the hookup was with noodles, we throw some meat in there, some tuna, and we just make sandwiches. And every night I'd have a loaf of bread and I'd feed myself and whoever else I wanted to feed. So we ate without regard for, calories and fat. We ate what was available to us, but we also consumed as much as we could for those of us that were trying to get big. A lot of us also use milk as a supplement. I would trade and make deals with other people for their milks. So at one point, I was drinking like 10 or 15 little milks every day to also add size. But again, guys, there's a lot of misconceptions out there, especially with regard to steroids, right? A lot of people say that the reason these guys are so jacked is because of steroids. Listen, guys, it's such bullshit. You have to understand how stupid it sounds for someone who understands that fucking world and comes from that life and has been there. It sounds retarded. Nobody in fucking jail or prison is thinking about smuggling steroids and keeping contraband like that, catching more time for that. Nobody thinks of that shit. All right? In some prisons that are older, open prisons, I've heard of people having weight gainer. I'm sure at some point someone has decided to take some steroids and smuggle them in, but it's so uncommon. It's not prevalent at all.
Interesting. Okay, so should have mentioned that I think at the beginning, and that does make sense. Like you wouldn't want to get caught with something else to have more time added onto your sentence. Okay, but to the first point that he made, that it's like a war, and you need to prepare. I would think that you would want to take whatever steps you had to take to get as jacked as possible, right? And like, I don't know, I've seen a lot of these dudes, like, I don't care how many little milks a day you drink, right? Like, are steroids common in prison? Let's take a look here. I'm pretty sure, like, I don't know, like, I've obviously never been there, but like, Swedish prison. Yeah, I mean, look, obviously I've never been in there. This guy has more, he can talk with more authority on this subject than I can, but like, I don't care, I'm just wondering, based on the food that they eat and the consistency with which you work out, even the adjusting for intensity and sleeping more, some of these guys get gigantic, right? He's not particularly like super big or anything. I mean, he works out obviously, but like, I don't know. And also another reason is like, what incentive would he have to lie, right? I guess you could make the argument that like, let's say he still has friends in prison, and let's say he's like, they're all doing fucking steroids. I remember my friends, they were all doing steroids. We were all doing steroids. We're all fucking shooting up testosterone. We could get whatever we get our hands on, right? That's like, you're essentially ratting out your friends, right? You could think that way, right? Like, and on the other hand, if he says, oh no, steroids are a myth, nobody's doing steroids, we're all just making deals for milk and like getting lots of sleep at night, we're in bed, guys, don't worry, FBI, like, no need to raid our prison. I guess that's the safer thing to say, especially when you're essentially a public figure on YouTube. I don't know, am I reading too much into this? But like, I don't know, what's that show, Scared Straight, right? Where they bring these current prisoners to like essentially scream at like kids who are like going to juvie, right? They like scream at them nonstop. It's pretty scary, right? If you've never seen it. But anyway, those dudes are gigantic. I mean, I would think that they're on something. I don't know, I'm not like taking their blood, but like, I'm wondering, is this to really just cover his own ass, and maybe not like really give the truth behind how prisoners are really that jacked, because probably has friends who are still inside, and he can't say, oh well, actually, yeah, we did this illegal stuff, because then if his friends get raided, you could make the connection, oh well, actually he just made a video about that, he's like, doing something that shouldn't be done, right? I don't know, maybe I'm reading too much into it.
So 99.9% of the people, in my opinion, that are in prison, that are jacked, and have real good, physiques, they are not on steroids. Just trust me when I tell you. Think logic. If you're going to take a risk of smuggling shit in, hiding contraband, holding contraband, you're going to do so with something of value. You do it with heroin, you do it with coke, you do it with tobacco if there's no smoking there. Whatever it is, you don't do it with fucking steroids. Steroids is not a desirable product in jails and prisons. Pornography, it will be more fucking profitable than steroids. Imagine somebody smuggling in steroids and trying to sell the shit or use the shit themselves. Nobody wants that shit. Nobody wants it. So it's not realistic for you guys to think that. All right? Another thing I'm thinking of now off the top of my head was that most of us would do push-ups all the time. Push-ups was something we did every single day, regardless of what other exercise or body parts we were training. Push-ups was like the foundation for everything. If we could do pull-ups, we do pull-ups also. But that's how most of us got our strength. Most of us built our strength and built our basis of muscle was through push-ups. So a lot of people, think and disregard that and think it's a bullshit exercise. It's calisthenics alone. I've heard all this shit about progressive overload. And you have to keep adding weights and your body weight is not enough. Come on, man. Fucking work harder. We fucking do over 1,000, 1,500 push-ups in one fucking day, every day. Don't tell me that if you're doing 1,000 fucking push-ups a day, your body is not going to change. Don't fucking even suggest that because that's bullshit.
Yeah, so truth, straight up, progressive overload. Like, why don't you try doing 1,000 push-ups over the course of a day? You got nothing to do. Like, why don't you try it as an experiment, right? Do 1,000 push-ups, like if you even can. That's not easy, right? That's like basically per hour. That's 100 push-ups per hour. So let's say you took all day. Let's say you took 10 hours to do it. 100 push-ups per hour, and that would be I don't know, maybe per 10 minutes. That would be 15 push-ups every 10 minutes. So that's not so hard. Per minute, that would be 1.5 push-ups ish per minute. Not so hard, but like it will add up. You know what I mean? It will add up in terms of increasing your strength. And obviously these guys are not doing one push-up per minute, like one and then stop, one and then stop, I don't think. But yeah, definitely. And in fact, as he started to talk about push-ups, I remember when I was working out in gyms, I think it was like 17 or something, and I integrated into my training routine, like regardless of what kind of workout I would do, you know how you normally save abs to the end, right? Or I did, at least. So like I would essentially integrate a set of push-ups in between every set of crunches or bicycle kicks or like whatever I would do, right? So I was adding an additional, 200 push-ups, maybe 150 push-ups at the end of every workout. And my physique responded very nicely, right? It was like, I remember and it kind of makes me want to do it again. In fact, I think I'm going to do it again. It was like a game changer, those extra 150 push-ups every day. Push-ups to the ball.
And maybe to those of you out there who are under these beliefs that you can't get big without weights, maybe you just don't have it fucking in you. Maybe you're not built like that to fucking work that hard. But trust me when I tell you, we fucking worked hard. All right? We fucking worked very hard. So don't take credit away from these guys thinking that they're doing some fucking illegal drug in prison, walking around with fucking needles in their ass, trying to hide them from the guards. That's fucking ridiculous. It's not true. All right, guys? So this is the truth. These are the real reasons as to why people end up in much better shape. Mindset, the environment, the circumstance, the consistency, this all has a huge factor into this. All right, guys? So this is what I've observed in life. I'm telling you the truth. Forget all that other bullshit that you've heard from people who've never fucking been in a prison in their life. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video.
Okay, so interesting. I am always prepared to admit that I'm wrong based on what he said. Like and Aboud, if you ever watch this, like I love your videos, dog. Like I'm not calling you a liar, but I'm wondering if maybe there aren't some additional factors here that might be influencing this message. Anyway, that said, I'm like scared Aboud's gonna come after me now. Yeah, so there are oral steroids that you can take. Number one, you don't have to walk around with needles in your ass. I agree, it does sound high risk, low reward to have syringes in prison to take steroids. Like, it does sound like, I'm wondering, like, and I know there's a lot of contraband in prison, or I've heard there's a lot of contraband, but I'm wondering how easy is that to hide? Like, how much of a blind eye do the guards actually turn towards that? And I would think that if they do, because all these prison stories that I've heard, it sounds like all these guys had shit they shouldn't have had. So what's the big deal? You've got like an extra like little vial of testosterone and a couple needles. Like, I don't know. It doesn't sound so bad. But like the argument of like, here's all these other reasons why we were in good shape. Why would I lie about that? Just trust me, this is how it is. I don't know. Whatever, maybe. I'm not saying like if you work out all day and you max out your like milk consumption and get a lot of sleep, you won't grow, you won't get bigger, especially if you work out all day, every day, you do 1,000 push-ups a day. Yeah, you will. But does that mean that none of them are doing steroids and it never happens and it's rare and it's not common? I don't think so. I don't know. Never been to prison. Like, what do I actually know? But for an I don't know. it's like it's one thing to admit that you were doing stuff you shouldn't have been doing in prison. I don't know, but then I'm thinking about these other guys who admit that they were doing fucked up shit all the time. I don't know, maybe because this guy's like more mafia, less gangster. He doesn't want to. I don't know. I have no idea. Maybe he's just telling the truth, and I'm full of shit completely. Interesting, nonetheless. Aboud, I like Aboud. Definitely check out his channel. If you guys have any other recommendations for videos or YouTubers you want me to look at, let me know. Peace.